The Pulse of Spokane is a broad show that showcases many different things in our community, sponsored by Local 29 Firefighters Union, Well Dressed Walrus, and Homes for You.
Well, welcome in and thanks for joining us on another in-home edition of the Pulse of Spokane. And today I'm joined by a very special guest, Jennifer Hicks, new owner of newly founded Jennifer J. Hicks Fundraising Consulting. Jennifer, first of all, great to have you on. Thank you for taking the time. I just want to do the formalities and make sure that you're doing okay and that people within your circles and loved ones are doing okay. How are things on your end? How are you guys holding up?
Well, thank you so much, Andrew. It's great to be on your program today. I'm doing fine. I'm healthy, thank goodness, and all my loved ones are as well. My heart goes out to people who are sick or those who are severely affected by the shutdown.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear personally. Yeah, it is really good to hear when people are doing well and that people are surviving and, a head above water and everything. But of course, that doesn't take away from the fact that there are a lot being afflicted and suffering from this. But that is good to hear. Just diving right into it, it seems within the past month or so that you've had a bit of a professional transition. I would love if you just tell me a little bit about it, maybe what you were doing before and then what you're getting into now.
Sure, I'm happy to do that. Well, now I'm consulting other organizations or nonprofit organizations on their fundraising programs. Before that, I was the director of development for the Spokane Symphony. I worked for the Symphony for 5 seasons, most recently, but way development too in the past. So I have a long affinity with the Spokane Symphony, but I'm ready to do my own thing now. I feel like I love to back up and look at things from a global view, and that's what this opportunity gives me to help organizations just step back, look at everything that they're doing in fundraising, and fine tune things or start new things to raise more money.
Well, and kind of piggybacking off of that global view comment, were there experiences or things that have happened in your life or things that you've been able to do that may have given you that sense of globalism in that regard?
Yes, I had some great travel experiences. And so I've lived in Hawaii. I'm from Spokane originally, but I've lived in Hawaii, Italy, Greece, and the Washington, D.C. area, the suburbs in Maryland. So 7.5 years in Europe, and I've traveled to 40 countries. So I've had a lot of great, interesting experiences and met so many different people of different cultures and backgrounds, and it just helped make who I am.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't really put a value or a quantity on those sorts of experiences and interactions and just the overall culturing that something like that does. All the traveling, was that from just a general wanderlust that you had, or were you doing work-related things everywhere that you went, or what was that all about?
Well, I lived overseas with my former husband's work. He was an NCIS special agent, but I also I traveled a lot for pleasure and just opportunity to learn things, especially while we were in Europe, because there are so many countries that are close by there. But yeah, I did work while we were moving around to different cities. So mostly I taught music. I taught music in Hawaii, Italy, and Greece, Maryland. And I did a contract job for the State Department. I created their post video for Athens. It's at the Overseas Briefing Center in Virginia.
Okay, very nice. Very nice. Moving back to a little bit about what you're currently doing in the fundraising consulting. So I think you mentioned before we got on that you had been involved to whatever degree or extent in fundraising for about 12 years. Was that correct?
Yes.
So was there just an entry position at some job that allowed you to get involved, and then from that point on, was the work something that you fell in love with or got a passion for, or was this even before you got involved, just something that was of meaning and of importance to you, and something that you knew that you were ultimately going to get involved in?
Like many fundraisers, I got into it accidentally. So after I graduated from Eastern Washington University, my first job out of the gate was at the Deaconess Healthcare Foundation. And that's where I learned that fundraising was even a career. And I loved it. I loved the people and getting involved in special events and work for an important nonprofit cause. So fundraising is all about people to me. It's about making the world a better place, and that's part of my personal mission statement. I want to do good, and I want to help.
Yeah, no, and that's awesome to hear. And I know that there are so many others around communities, not just in our city, our state, our nation, but around the world that are involved. And yeah, trying to give back and put effort forth into fundraising things like this. What With that being said, though, what does the landscape of fundraisers look like, and has it looked like, amidst the pandemic? Are a lot of these things being put on hold or pushed off,
Mhm.
or are a lot of them still being conducted, maybe just under different criteria or circumstances?
Actually, during the pandemic is a great time to still fundraise, and many organizations really need money right now to accomplish their work. So it's always a good time to fund. The most important thing is being sensitive to donors. Maybe for them personally, they have less money, and just check in with them, see how they're doing, how they're coping. But I think a lot of organizations are finding very big success in fundraising right now because people have a heart for those that are struggling.
That's really great to hear. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised to hear that. I figured that, along with a lot of other things that have been kind of put on the back burner, that fundraisers would be in that category. But that's really great to hear. So, since you have branched off and started doing your own thing, what are some of the works or projects or fundraisers that you've been working on since you started on your own?
Well, I'm working with an organization in Spokane to their major giving program and mentoring the executive director on how to go about securing major gifts. And raising major gifts is a very wonderful thing. It takes time. You have to spend a lot of the donor getting to know them, understanding what their priorities are, and finding a fit in between their priorities and your organization is your role. So you really need to care about the donor and what matters to them, and then also really be passionate about your organization and the mission that you're working on. So I'm also working with um, another organization. I'll tell you that one. That's SNAP, Spokane Neighborhood Action Partnership, our partners. And I'm writing grants and researching grants about COVID-19, funding that's become available for during this crisis, and writing grants for them as well. So
Okay.
that's fun.
For the listeners at home, or the viewers, or just anybody that happens to stumble across this, is there anything that we can do to contribute? I mean, maybe outside of the obvious in donating, but is there anything that we can do to help out or to contribute to fundraisers such as you've mentioned?
Well, I know SNAP is getting a lot more requests for help with rent assistance, utility assistance, the homeless. SNAP is a very large organization and they do so much good in our community. So that's one that I would ask people to consider giving to. I know the food banks need a lot of help right now. And arts organizations, the Spokane Symphony, uh, right now they can't perform because nobody can gather at the Fox. So that's a great organization to support. And the Museum of Arts and Culture. Spokane has about 1,500 nonprofits, so there's so many great causes here. But I I'm just amazed at the generosity in our community. So just think about what you're passionate about and consider making a donation to that charity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, especially in times like these, you see the best parts of humanity really come forward,
Mhm.
and people start putting their best foot forward and start, especially considering others, and just you really get that sense of community and trying to uphold that and retain that in the midst of all the craziness and all the madness that's going on. So yeah, there is, like you said, there's a lot of generosity out there, and specifically in our community. I mean, yeah, that we're no exception at all. Was there anything else that you wanted to plug or add or mention before I let you go here?
Well, I did give Vinny some photos and a brochure from my business. So I don't know if he's able to play that or I can just tell you about it, but yeah,
Yeah, I think he'll be able to, because we're not
cut it
live,
in.
but he'll be able
Okay.
to put those into the post editing and everything. But if you want to touch on them and talk about them before we go, yeah, absolutely, go ahead.
Okay, great. Well, things that I can do to help nonprofits in Spokane is I can design an annual fundraising program for them. I can review their major giving program or even help them start a major gifts program. And I can take a good look at all of their donor communications and improve them if need be. So I'm happy to take calls from nonprofits that might be interested in working with me.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. And then yeah, he'll be able to put that in the post editing session and everything, so people that are watching can get a visual for that. But that's really great. I thank you again for taking the time to come on and talk about what you're doing and being involved as you are in such a gratifying endeavor that is fundraising and giving back to the community and getting involved in the community. It's really good stuff, and it's really good to hear, especially like I mentioned, in times like these. So again, thank you, Jennifer, for coming on. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Continue to stay safe out there, and all the luck in the world to you and your future endeavors. And yeah, hopefully people seeing this can start reaching out and volunteering and helping out themselves.
Great. Thank you so much, Andrew, for having me on. And you stay safe too. Stay healthy. Wash your
Thank you.
hands.
I will. All
Okay.
right. Take care, Jennifer. Thanks.
You too. Bye bye.
Here at River Ridge Hardware, we can match any color for you. So you need this color matched for your trim in your bathroom. Come to the color computer, stick it into the spectrometer, and allow the machine to do its thing, and it will match your trim exactly. So whether it was done by water damage or a young child, we can get you covered and get it matched. If you do need to have something so that it completely disappears, I can certainly help you with that one as well. Along with the spectrometer color matching capability that can match any competitor's paint color, we have a beautiful color palette that can help you start any new project. Give us a try.
After I got divorced, I had medical debt, credit card debt, and student loan debt. I was dealing with a lot of guilt. I found myself shopping to feel better. When my son was born, wanting to manage my finances was no longer a want, it was actually a need. STCU made that possible for me. I use the mobile app every single day. I'm able to color code all of my different savings accounts. And when you have nice things to look at, I think it brings you on a deeper level of motivation. I'm Kamika Love, the Budget Mom, and STCU is here for good.
Well, this is Looms Day in Spokane. We got about 40 firefighters and their friends and family handing out 40,000 cups of water as the day goes by.
It's a very good opportunity to see the public and support them and help them out and cheer them on during Bloomsday.
It's one of the best things about Spokane is that we have these major events and the whole community comes together not just to participate, but to volunteer and show that they really care about our city and making our city look great.
This type of an event really is emblematic of Spokane because so many people get involved. We have 50,000 people probably running this race. Always has been a very huge event.
Right now we're at the corner of Broadway and Nettleton. It's the last water station before the finish, so people are pretty much dehydrated by the time they get to us. They really need our water.
The water stations are a vital part, especially on warm days like today. It's real important that we have the volunteers to help with that. Without the volunteers, Bloomsday wouldn't exist.
All up and down the course, there are people that are involved in this celebration. It really is a celebration of what Spokane's all about.
Thanks for watching. Ask the host a question, recommend a guest, or check out any of our other programs on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SpokaneTalksMedia.com. Sponsored by Local 29 Firefighters Union, Well Dressed Walrus, and Homes for You.